In failing, I'm required to read a long text while playing the music written above the text. The text must be read out loud at a more or less normal pace, and I must not allow the music to slow me down. The task is fairly easy for a while, because there's not much music, and most of it comes at the ends of clauses and sentences, almost like normal punctuation. Later on, there's more music. The task becomes more difficult. So difficult, in fact, that I will probably not be able to do it without either slowing down my reading speed or else making mistakes in the music. At least the composer feels confident that I will eventually begin to run into trouble, which is why he called this piece Failing. So far, the task is still not that difficult, but the challenge is that, as the piece becomes more difficult, I must continue reading the text at a normal pace and playing the music as well as possible, just as I did at the beginning. By now, I'm already rather busy, just playing the notes and reading the text. But the text says that I should also try to listen to what I'm doing as much as possible, and speak loud enough to keep a balance between the speaking and the playing. Ideally, both the speaking and the music should flow easily and naturally, so that the audiences can easily follow either element at any time. Sometimes the music has a strong aggressive quality, and I have to speak quite loudly to be heard. At other times, the music is lyrical and almost sentimental, and I must speak more softly, so that the speaking will not cover up the music. But I should make sure that the text is always easy to understand, because if I allow my voice to fluctuate too much with the rises and falls of the music, the text may become difficult to understand, and that too would be a form of failing. Because the text makes it clear that the speaking should always be easy for the audiences to understand, regardless of what happens musically. By now, this task is already rather challenging, but I've practiced this piece quite a bit, and that is a fact, as well as simply aligning the text. So unless I'm having a particularly bad day, I can still handle the music quite accurately, without slowing down my delivery of the text. I should be able to keep everything well in tune, and to play the dynamic markings accurately. If I am concentrating well, I should even be able to maintain a good balance between the speaking and the playing. And remember to make the text easy to understand, even though the mood of the music sometimes changes quite radically. But soon, the music becomes more difficult yet, and I will probably start failing in one way or another. I shall point out, however, that I am not obliged to fail. After all, the audiences cannot see the score I'm reading. Nobody would be ever wiser if I were to simply leave out whatever passages I am unable to play. People might be very impressed by my playing, think that I had succeeded in playing a piece which the composer thought could not be played successfully by any bass player. But of course, by leaving out the hardest parts like that would be cheating, and the performance would not really be a success at all, since the piece is about failing. And by now, failing is extremely difficult. That is, the piece called Failing is extremely difficult. There are a few relaxed moments now and then, but most of the time, I'm required to play a tricky chromatic melody at a fast speed, and I'm probably beginning to fail in one way or another. Of course, I don't particularly enjoy failing, and sometimes I think it would be easier if I cheated a little, so that I would not fail too badly, and so that people would be more impressed by my playing ability. But on the other hand, if I do my best, play most of the music well, and it should be clear that I am doing the task as well as anybody should expect me to do it. Moreover, I will be interpreting this piece accurately, since it is obvious that failing is about failing. If I succeed in playing everything accurately, without slowing down my speech or cheating or anything, I will fail to fail, and thus I will miss the point. In a way, I almost want to fail, because everybody fails at certain times, and in certain ways anyway, because that is what the piece is about, because I want to interpret it appropriately. But of course, I must not try to fail. I must try to succeed in doing the task well, without slowing down, without missing notes. Even though by now, it is almost impossible to succeed for very long. If I try to fail, and then fail, that would be kind of a success, and not really a failure at all. So I must try to succeed. That way, when I fail to succeed, I will succeed in communicating the essence of this piece, even though I will fail to accomplish the task that is set up. In other words, I will not be able to fail unless I'm trying to succeed, and I won't succeed in interpreting this piece sensitively unless my performance turns out to be a failure. Or putting it another way, I will probably succeed and fail to succeed, not only because the music is so difficult, but also because if I fail to succeed and failing to succeed, then I will not fail to fail, and I will miss the point. And since failing is obviously about failing, and since any successful performance must be a qualified failure, in any case, I am continuing to read this text and play music as well as possible, attempting to maintain a normal pace and to make the text comprehensible. I am probably continuing to fail here and there, but I should not be failing quite as often now as I was before, because the text is returning to some of the more lyrical material. But even this material is difficult to play as expressively as I would like under these circumstances. But there is not much danger in that I will miss notes. And if I concentrate, then I can actually maintain a good balance between the speaking and the playing. Soon, however, I will be faced with a fresh difficulty. The text is about to run out, but the music continues for another minute or so. During that time, I must decide for myself what to talk about as I play. My remarks are to be genuinely improvised and should include specific references to this particular performance and to the degree at which I have been failing, or failing to fail, or failing to succeed to fail, or whatever. As before, I must continue to speak at a normal pace and a normal tone of voice, and I must maintain a balance between the speaking and the playing. And as an additional challenge, I am supposed to link the written part of the text to the improvised part of the text so smoothly that nobody will be able to tell exactly where the improvised part of the speaking began and where the written part of the text ended. This task seems rather easy for a while, but under the circumstances and the characteristics of this piece, that task is still incredibly difficult. Improvising in itself is a very difficult art. But to improvise words, something that isn't musical, is almost a foreign concept to people. Well, musicians at least. But my performance today, which this part gives away, where the written part of the text ended and where the improvised part of the text began, has been probably a complete failure. But hopefully it is enjoyable to listen to, because that is the piece called Failing.